For this special Mother's Day episode, our guest is none other than our mom. Meet Jeanne Trespicio, the woman who is responsible for, well, all of this. Go behind the scenes of boomer parenting and Jeannie's largely laissez-faire approach to movies, TV, play dates, real dates, and taking the train to Port Authority. Plus, Kim hates meatloaf, Terri hates Kim, and little Lori is sent to ski school with 104-degree fever. Sounds about right. Welcome to Generation Artax, and happy Mother's Day.
Are you ready for us? Come on, Kim. I'm interviewing you. Everybody knows I am the star of this show. Let me see.
Welcome to the Mother's Day edition of Generation Artax. I'm Terri. I'm the oldest. I have no children. I am not a mother. It's fine. This is not my holiday.
It's fine.
I'm not sad about this.
I'm Kim. I am the middle, and I have 2 kids, and in T-minus a few months, I will be an empty nester officially. Still a mother, but
Yep.
yeah.
I'm Lori. I'm the youngest. I am mother of 2, turning 13 and 11 next month, very soon. And
That's so crazy.
I'm about to be a stepmom in under 2 months.
Wow.
3.
Oh,
Good point.
officially. I mean, you already are.
Stepmom. Your official
official.
stepmom.
It's a legal term. So
Illegal, yeah.
yes.
Oh, it's a legal term? I don't think I knew
Stepmom
that.
is, yes, a legal term.
So now you have a new title. You're a different kind of mom, too. You're 2 kinds of
Evil
moms.
stepmother. So weird. It's just weird to think about.
It's
like
so Disney.
Stepmother is just Disney.
Well, Disney ruined
hated
it.
moms.
Disney hated
so-
women. I mean, like, come on.
Didn't
Like,
yeah.
they're not
I mean,
great about it. Making the stepmother, especially when a stepmother is a woman with no children who is brought into a family and is deemed selfish and villainous because she gets on
That's
herself.
not true. Cinderella's stepmother had 2 very evil
her own.
Oh, that's
stepsisters.
true.
Yeah.
They're just the
Okay.
villain.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. So
They
to
are.
celebrate, we've got a special show for you today because we have a special guest. Are you ready for it?
Drum roll.
Yes.
Our guest is our mother, Jeanne Barone Trespicio,
Wow.
Oh, that's
Just-
weird.
All right.
who's going to be joining us now.
All right. Let's.
Wait, is she? All right.
Nope. We got to send her
We
the
gotta
link.
call her.
Oh my
There she is.
goodness. Well. Look who's
Well,
joining
well.
us. Our mother, Jeanne. Jeanne is here. Jeanne, Mom, thank you for coming on the podcast as our guest. You're our first guest.
Fun. Yes, I am your first guest.
Well, you're the first. You are the first person we ever met. So it makes sense that you're our first guest.
There's no
Yeah, that's a
question.
good point.
There's
Yes.
no question. Yep.
Everything goes back to the mother. I think everyone is curious. When I asked around and said, hey, we're going to have our mom on for the Mother's Day episode, people were like, oh my God, so many questions. So I have gathered a few questions. I have some questions. They're going to be all softballs. You know all the answers. But let's start with just a little bit of a brief background, where you're from originally and when you were born, how old you are. I mean, they can do the math, but tell us.
The stats.
I was born in Pennsylvania, in Scranton, and lived most of my life in Hazleton. And then I went to nursing school in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and then moved to New Jersey, and
Yes.
where I ultimately stayed for the next 30 some years.
Yes.
And I met my ex-husband there, and he was an anesthesiologist, and I was a nurse, and that's where it came. And then the 3 came in a row.
Yep. So you got married in 1970?
72.
72.
Oh, 72. Okay.
72. Yeah. And then you were
And then
born
I came
in-
along.
Yeah. You were born
1973.
73, 76, 79.
There we go.
Perfect.
70s
Perfectly
babies.
timed.
Now you are the youngest of 2. Your older brother, Bob.
Yeah. My older
Went on to
brother,
be a-
Bob, was a
Yep.
priest, and he died very young at 62
So
of
fucking young.
prostate. Huh? That's
So
young.
young.
It's
Yeah.
shocking when
As
you're
we're all
approaching-
creeping up.
As
at
we're
that.
creeping
and
up on
Right.
that, we're like,
approach that
oh my
age, it's
God.
shocking how
That's
young
weird.
that is.
Yeah.
But you had lost
and
your parents long before that.
I had, yes, my father first,
Yes.
but he died also at 64.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God,
was
didn't
due.
realize
He
this.
died in June, and I was due in
Yes.
November, so she
That's
was on
right.
her second
That's right.
kid.
Oh,
And your
wow.
father was a state trooper in
Father
Statey.
was a
Pennsylvania.
state trooper. Yes.
Statey.
Yes. A
And your
statey,
mother did
Pennsylvania.
not have a job, right? She was stay-at-home
My
mom.
mother, well, she worked before. She worked in a lawyer's office as the
I
secretary.
don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
As a what?
Probably administrative assistant, a secretary kind of, she went to secretary.
How long did she work in a law firm?
That's where she met him.
She didn't go to college, so it was right out of high school. She got another
Oh,
job
okay.
in a department store. And then she went on to secretarial school and then got into the law office. And that is where she met my father.
That's where she met Johnny Barone.
She met
Statey
Johnny
walked in.
Barone because he came into the law office to do work. He was from Philadelphia area.
This is like a sitcom or something. It looks like it's like a scripted drama. Like the cop comes, it's like CSI or something.
And she was older, right? When she met him, older than
She was in her
women
20s.
typically were
She
at
was
the
in her
time.
20s.
She didn't get married until 29. So-
29 is old
Spinster.
as hell
And
in
she
19
was-
what?
She thought she was so old that she was embarrassed, so she wouldn't wear a white dress.
Oh, wow.
She wouldn't
That-
wear a white gown. She just bought a
Unbelievable.
regular, like a regular, like nice dress.
To be clear, she's saying it wasn't. What's interesting is that it was not a wedding dress. It was just a dress.
It was not a wedding dress. It was very, it was like old, 29.
Do we know if the dress went to the ground? Like, do we know anything about the dress? You've
No.
never seen a picture of her
I've
wedding
never
dress?
seen a picture of the dress.
Wow.
I don't think there were any pictures.
She didn't want to memorialize it. She was like, I'm out of here. She got married at 7 a.m. They got in the car and drove to Florida.
Yes. They went to the church and the priest said, well, he had 7 or 11. Well, isn't 11 perfect? So she would have said, well, 11. And Dad just popped in. He said, oh, we'll do 7 because we have a long ride ahead.
My
Oh
God.
my God. So like,
get it
so
done.
that's
So
it.
he never said anything.
Got married at the crack of dawn. It was
Got
like
married
empty
at the
church.
crack of dawn.
I'm going to say another biological fact about Grandma that I don't know that you guys know, but Grandma, first of all, was known as a great beauty, right? She looked
Yes,
young,
she was
well
very
into
good.
old age.
She was
She
very
didn't get her period until she was 19.
good. Yes, very
my
old.
God.
19 until she got her period.
Mhm. And then
Wow.
quite old into menopause, into her 60s.
Right, because everything started later.
Everything was
When
shifted.
girls get their
Yeah.
period at like 11, like you
Right.
start now age, the mother nature is like, let's move along and then
Right.
we'll be done with you. She didn't get her period till she was 19.
Yeah.
So she looked amazing.
Not a wrinkle.
Yeah.
Not one
No,
wrinkle.
no
not
wrinkles.
ever.
Even as an elder woman, no
Even
wrinkles.
as an
She was
elder woman, not a wrinkle.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
amazing.
So they had a very spicy courtship.
Whoa.
She was
Really?
engaged.
She doesn't mean it that way. She means that they fought a
was
lot.
She was engaged to someone else?
Yes.
Oh,
I did not
yeah.
know that.
Scandal. This really is a show.
Yeah.
Who was she engaged
to someone
to?
else. We came this close to not being born.
Or being totally white.
I don't know if his name was Leo.
Leo. I remember hearing about Leo. Yes. He held a torch for her. Johnny Barone was like, you're out of here, Leo. I'm taking over.
Well, a lot of fun things happened in their courtship because Dad had his eyes on her and he wanted her, and he knew. I don't know if he knew she was engaged, but he knew
Didn't give a
she
shit.
was seeing
Yeah, I was gonna say
someone.
he didn't care.
He asked her out on a date, whatever, and she said she was tired or whatever, some excuse. But he didn't believe she was going to be home. So she lived on a hill, and he went and parked his cop car in his cop uniform on the downside of the hill and watched her come out the door into somebody else's car.
Oh, this is
Damn.
starting to sound familiar.
Yeah. And then he gave them a
it's a
little
little
bit of a
stalkery.
head, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
he followed them.
He
And then
pulled them
stopped
over.
him. Yeah, he
That's
pulled
right.
him over.
He put
I
on
do
his
know
lights.
this story.
Yep.
He pulled her over.
He pulled,
what did he say
pulled
again?
him over. Well, he doesn't know the guy, right? And
No.
he just pulled him over and was routine. And then he looked in the car and he said, well, hello, Miss McGuire. How are you?
Mm.
And that,
Wow.
was said for that.
Damn. Here's a ticket,
Power.
Leo.
Damn.
That's
It's
a
a power move. Big power
That's
move.
a big power move.
That's
Yeah.
a big power move, but
I
that was
love that. When she was
that
like,
was him.
I need to be with that man immediately.
That's so funny. That is funny.
I bet the two of them were seriously fired because she was no fading violet and he
She
had a
was
big
not.
temper.
If
Yeah.
in an
Phrase,
age
but I
where
like it.
all women were fading violets, she
that
she
mean?
definitely was not. She did things like when she worked in the department store, she went up to the head of the department store and she said, "My sister needs a job here."
Oh,
And she said, "Well, she has to have a job here, or I will leave too."
Oh.
And they gave her a job there. I mean, she was mouthy and a little gutsy.
Don't you
Yeah.
wish so bad that there was some that you could just see that happen, to watch this stuff happen? You know
Oh,
what
I
I mean?
know.
Yeah.
If we could just watch it like a
See
movie.
what she looked like. I always
Yeah,
saw her as
yeah.
an old woman. Like I didn't
Oh,
see her at
God.
her height, you know?
Oh, I have pictures of her young.
I know, but I mean,
Yes.
I want to see her in real time being like,
Oh, well.
my sister needs a job.
3D.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I just want to see the hologram.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
great.
So
I
all
love
right,
that.
well, he had guts. She had guts.
So this is where we get our guts. I mean, you're seeing the markers now, the biological markers for ball busting coming out.
Absolutely.
So of course, and we all get that from there. And I love those characters, and they should have had their own TV show for sure. So let's fast forward now to
Yeah.
you have these 3 kids. It's
Oh.
the mid 70s, now little babies, whatever, walking around. I have to go here. And you married a Filipino doctor. You are white as the driven snow. You walked around with us with, Lori in the stroller or whatever, and Kim, and then me walking, and people would stop you.
Yes, people would always stop because it was the era of the Vietnam War. So there were lots of mothers, lots of them, who adopted Vietnamese orphans. And so that was the natural question. Oh, they're so cute. Did you get them from Vietnam?
Where'd you get them?
Yes, because they assumed I had gotten them from somewhere.
So charitable.
No.
You adopted 3?
Yes, you adopted
No,
3
they
kids.
were
I
3
said,
sisters.
"No,
She didn't
no,
want to
no,
separate
no,
them.
they're not Vietnamese. Well, where did they come from?" I said, "Same place yours came from."
But it's so funny because Kim has had the opposite experience. I'm sure Lori has too, because you guys are darker and you have these very white kids. Lori is a redhead. Kim is like a blue-eyed blonde little boy when he was little. Did people ever assume that?
One time in a park, someone asked if I was the nanny. I was for Mason. And I was like, nope, I made them all by myself. Well,
It's like casting them. Are you the nanny?
All by
And then with mom, it's like, where did you buy these children?
Yeah.
Lori, have you ever gotten that?
No.
Of course.
Oh, that's so nice.
Lori, you never get that nanny business?
No. Never got nanny business, especially I think when she was little, because people would comment that she had my face, even though she had her dad's coloring. We were in line at Carter's, was the kids' clothes store, and she was in the stroller, and he and I were both standing there, and a woman was just in front of us in line, holding her clothes, and she kept looking down at Evie, and then looking up at me, and then looked down at Evie, and looked up at Greg, and she just goes, "So weird." She's like, "She has your face, but she's your coloring."
Yeah.
Yeah. They're funny.
It's like they're
that.
the perfect mix, And so let's now you have kids in the 70s and into the 80s now, and we're getting to be, just little kids playing around the neighborhood, whatever. And really, this happened early on, I think, that we were sort of the house to go to hang out, even when kids were little, right? Not just teenagers, but when we were little kids, and there were little kids on the block. And kids just sort of descended onto the house. Did kids just descend in droves? Did parents call and be like, "My son's coming over there to play today"? Or did kids just show up and you didn't even know who they were?
No,
That's 80s.
Neighborhood was different than neighborhood now. And so kids were out. They were just out. They were out in the street. They were out playing.
They're feral.
They were yeah. And so, they knew that there were 3 girls that lived there. And so they would, either come up and knock on the door or, I've had one of them just walked in.
What?
One of them walked in and my mother was sitting on the couch. And my mother looked at this kid and she said, who are you? And he said, who are you? They were out from other streets, came up with our streets, and
they're just roving gangs of children. No one knows who they belong to. This is the thing. Like now everything is arranged somehow, but like kids would just knock on the door and then you answer the door and they just sit there. You know, it's like, okay, you want to come in? Like now I have to play with this kid. It's just weird. You know?
Or they would say, you know, can Terri come out? That would be
That's not that weird. That happened to Evie the other day.
Mm-hmm. Can Evie come out to play?
2 girls showed up at Greg's house and were like, is Evie here? Because I guess they knew that her friend was over who's
that's good.
From the neighborhood. So it does happen. It happened with Graham a few times because they do have a neighborhood that's filled with kids.
Right.
That's the difference.
That's the key.
And that happens to these friends also have neighbors all around that have kids the same age. So that does happen over there.
There's another element to this, which is that we were the kind of central house. Our house was up on the corner of Condit and Monroe. And it's just a natural gathering place. But also we were sort of the beehive in that we also fed the bees. Like there was snacks. We had wall-to-wall cabinet of sodas and soft drinks of descending order, decaf, diet, everything. And then a cabinet full of snacks. And I have no memory when I did not have free and constant access to eat whatever I wanted. And I know that wasn't like everyone's house. But our house was, I don't know if it was different too much, but was that on purpose? Or were you like, these kids are eating all our fucking food, you know?
No, that was on purpose, but not for the neighbors. It was on purpose for us.
But the kids went in and grabbed it.
Yeah, they did.
We had a soda cabinet, and I drank Sprite like kids drink water now.
It's crazy how much soda we drank.
Gross.
It's also weird because it was so much later in life that I learned how much better it tastes when it's cold.
Because it was hot in the cabinet. Yeah,
we drank it out of the cabinet. We would because you wouldn't have to go all the way up to the kitchen because it was the last cabinet at the top of the stairs. So I wouldn't even go up to the top step. I'd lean over from lower steps and grab one out, and that's how I drank them.
That's how
the little tiny glass ones,
little cute ones.
I can't believe any of us have teeth.
I can't either. But this is what I'm getting at. It's the 80s. There was a whole big, obviously we're all dealing with the fallout of diet culture from the 80s still. But that didn't seem to be something on your radar at all. When people were afraid of kids eating this, it's always like control over what the kids are eating. You seem to have like zero concern, or what are your, I never got to ask you that. What are your thoughts about that?
Zero concern. Because I grew up eating whatever I wanted.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And now my kids eat whatever they want.
My parents, my father used to get the kind you deliver to the grocery store, the big jugs of Bachman pretzels.
Oh, yeah.
Like a big thing, and cases, they were stacked in the basement to the ceiling. Cases and cases of ginger ale.
So it was just snack culture. You grew up in
snack all the time.
But people, you see, he was a cop, and those were gifts people gave him. He didn't go out and buy.
Thanks, officer. Here's a case of ginger ale.
Right, random.
It's so weird.
People always trying to buy off the cops with ginger ale. That powerful war that a bucket of pretzels has. So we ate whatever, but it wasn't just snacks and pretzels. We had this stuff. When I think about it, you think the bags of Starburst, the Tootsie Pops, the Tootsie Rolls, the Slim Jims. It was kind of endless, and yet there was no part of you or any pressure from anyone else being like, those girls, if they eat too much, they're not going to be healthy.
Because who outside was watching me, what I was doing with that?
Well, I don't know, like friends.
Nobody gave a damn, and it did not even faze me. There wasn't any push on health or anything else.
Nothing that you were open to. Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a thing.
But hang on, we're talking about snacking, but we kind of have to talk about eating, because part of me thinks that not only was this part of the culture that you grew up in and you can eat whatever you want, the microculture of a family, but we also were fairly picky eaters. And part of me thinks you wanted to just kind of make sure we had a steady supply of calories. Yeah. So talk about that with the eating. Wow. Like, I'm sure I was picky. Kim was picky. Lori, not so picky.
Yeah, Lori was not picky, but the two of You were. But the person who led me to that mentality was Anne Morin.
Our next door neighbor.
Yes. Yes, a next door neighbor. And she had 5 kids, and they were all older. And she had her fill of fussy eaters. And she said that she was told for 2 of her kids, didn't care what it was, leave food around the house. Little clumps of candy here, little this candy there. Because if they don't eat at all, the hunger will go away. But if they eat this little candy, whatever, that hunger will be back. Yeah. And I said, what a perfect idea.
Just keep spiking that blood sugar.
Again, we were feral cats. You leave out a little bowl of milk. Yeah. And these cats are going to come around and like lap it up, and then they'll come back. But if you don't have anything, they will not be hungry, and then they won't eat.
Right. Yeah, because I remember that argument a lot. You know, when I was the same thing, my kid was a picky eater, and as a lot of kids are, and people would be like, "Oh, just have the healthy food, and if he'll eat when he's hungry, he'll eat when he's hungry." And you're like, "That's actually not how it works." Like, you can get to a point of absolute starvation where you'll be digging through trash and eating whatever you can, but like you can go a long way and get in your belly gets smaller and smaller and your metabolism slower and slower before you get to that point. Right. Like you have to be in the woods for days before you're in this like place of, oh, well, now I'll eat broccoli.
Yeah. The pediatricians and other mothers, they said, well, you know, they just don't eat that junk until they eat this or that. I said, and no, I can't do that. I can't go that
just
direction.
The emotional labor of that.
The emotional labor was, to me, unbearable and not fair. And particularly with Kim. They used to say to me, she's pulling your chains. I said, she is not
pulling your chains.
That's
Kim.
Master manipulator. Kim ever manipulating.
I didn't like any of the food. I thought it was gross.
I said, she really is. She's not. She comes in the house and says, what stinks? And I did.
You're like, food.
Wow.
Like, non-processed food.
Yeah. She's like, food is smelly.
Yeah. And she said, I can't eat that. It smells so bad.
So interesting.
And then you used to sit under the table.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Because you couldn't stand it. And Dad would finally say, get out of here. Go downstairs. Go wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Because who couldn't stand that?
Yeah, but I kind of have very real memories of being made to sit there. And I did
one time.
You were the first child, Terri. And you didn't have a sense.
I have that as well.
It happened to me one time with meatloaf, and you're like, my meatloaf is delicious. You'll sit here until you eat it. And then you guys all left, and I sat there. I was like, there's no way. I will die here. I will never eat this meatloaf.
I do remember this
story. I was like 8, and I sat there, and of course, it was ice cold. Everybody left. It got dark out. I sat there, and finally, you came down. You were mad, and you were like, just get out of my sight. and I never ate meatloaf like in my whole life.
I actually really like the meatloaf.
Meatloaf's really good.
My meatloaf
I know.
The best.
I'm scarred. I look at meatloaf,
like burgers,
and I feel
right?
trauma.
Yeah, she doesn't like that kind of thing.
You don't like shredded meat, but she loves steak. It's not like she doesn't like meat.
I like shredded meat in tacos.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very picky. Again, very picky.
I was constantly being pulled.
Not picky
even
anymore.
though I knew what I wanted to do and did it most of the time. Every once in a while, I get pulled in the other direction, maybe by a pediatrician or.
Oh, but that's all mothers. You're like, well, maybe I should try this.
Yeah. Maybe I should just try. So you get.
Okay.
Next time we go to a restaurant, if I ordered the meatloaf, Kim, would you try it?
Every boyfriend tried this too.
Oh, they tried.
No, really, you'll like it, and it just
no. I'm just wondering if
I don't want to like it.
Well, that's weird.
No, it's not. It doesn't affect you. I eat everything else. It's fine. I don't need meatloaf in my life.
It's a weird thing to hold on to. It's like, what?
Yeah, I destroyed your meatloaf life.
She holds a line with some of these things, and she literally will not. This is a waste of effort.
I'll never have mustard or ketchup. We don't need to have this conversation.
This is not.
I eat really everything else.
Right.
Everything.
I developed my own taste in food because I love to go to Red Lobster on my birthday, and a lot of this was Dad. I wanted to be fancy and have a fucking bib on and learn to crack oysters, lobsters and all that. And that I found that really fun. But I do remember being super picky and being grossed out by, when you think about the meals we had, and this is not a discredit to our family or whatever, or you, but when you think about it, someone who was really, truly pretty lactose intolerant, especially of a skim milk situation, and gluten sensitive. And I started every day with a bowl of wheat with milk poured over it. And I wondered why I had a stomachache like every day. And I got, you know what I mean? Bad. That was what we ate, but we couldn't know. We couldn't know. But then we go to lunch and you have a white bread sandwich and it's mushy and like everything about the first 2 meals of the day was really awful, I thought.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Terri from Generation Artax. And listen, I love a good story. Who doesn't? If you didn't, you wouldn't bother with books, TV, movies, or even podcasts. We love listening to stories, but there's also something really powerful about writing your own. You may see yourself as a reader or a listener, and maybe you wouldn't dare call yourself a writer. But here's the truth. If you can read, you can write. If there's something you would love to write, share, or get out there, there is no better or safer place to do it than this little program I run called the New Rules Studio, or Studio for short. It's a live, virtual, real-time writing space led by certified instructors where you get to explore your own ideas, your own creativity, memories, stories without judgment or criticism. Since you're a listener of this podcast, I would like to invite you to come write with me for free. You can get the invite at territrespicio.com/writewithme. That's territrespicio.com/writewithme. I want to talk a little bit about when you zoom out on general, like parenting things. Every parent is different. Every family is different. There are things they're really strict about, bedtime or dinner time, whatever, and things they're more loose about. We know we let things slide in the food department, whatever, we could eat as long as we're eating. Were there other things that you sort of were meh about, like laissez-faire, whatever, that other people are like, how can you do that?
Especially for teenagers.
For teenagers.
I know.
A big thing, when should you do this or that? How much TV? How much homework? And should I be overseeing this? Everybody in life told me that I should be. And I didn't believe that because I didn't grow up like that. There was no one managing or micromanaging my life.
Okay.
And so I was on the, every honors thing that there was.
No one was on your back.
No one even knew what courses I was taking. Right. My mother had no clue. No clue.
But she didn't have to. So there's that. And you didn't have to for us. None of us were slipping. If any of us were failing and refusing to do work, you would have had to change your ways. But we were all pretty self-sufficient in those ways. And
so motivated. Was it that though? Was it that like, oh, you're doing great, so I guess I'll lay off?
Right. It's chicken or the egg kind of argument there. Did we push ourselves because no one was pushing us, or,
right,
the opposite?
The only thing that I can remember, I mean, you all kind of just seem to do it. But again, the chicken or the egg. But I used to say to you all the time, I have my work here. I have to do this and I have to do billing downstairs. And Dad is working all weekend and this is your job.
Yes. That's what you always said. This is your job.
This is your job. As a child, it's your job. We all have jobs. And I can't stop mine or you wouldn't eat. And Dad can't stop his or we couldn't buy any food. You have to do your job too. And I was said a million different ways, constant. So you took it upon yourselves then. This was your job.
We took it seriously. However, I will say
we were all students.
We were all good students.
You were all good students.
It could have been, anyway, we could have a hard time with it, whatever. But we also, just like we had free access to food, we had free access to the only source of media for a very long time, which was TV. And we watched it. We watched what we wanted. I don't think, I have a vague memory that I was kind of supposed to be in bed at a certain time, but like during the school week, you weren't really up late.
I do remember it wasn't that I never had a bedtime or she never told me not to go to bed, because I do remember being like, can we just watch? In my mind, it was watching Alice in Wonderland, the 1985 or 6 version, because, it was over a day or two. Right. Even though we were recording it.
Yes. I remember.
It was like a 2-day thing. And I feel like I remember being like, wait, can we get to the next commercial? Like,
Yeah.
So I remember like trying to negotiate.
You were little.
Yes, I was 5. Right.
5.
Okay, fine.
I mean, in high school, we didn't have a time to be in bed.
No,
Some
and I was
did.
probably, for sure. No. I definitely was in middle school, probably. Well, remember, I had my own phone line answering machine in 3-way by like in 3rd grade. So, but because people could call me, I couldn't call other people because then their whole house would ring.
Right, but they
so
could
if
call
someone
you.
else could go to another corner of the house and call me, then we can have a phone conversation and no one would, get in trouble about it. Right.
So I want to talk about the phone thing, but before that, did you have any idea what or whatever we were watching? And I have a memory of you saying, like, if it were loud or people are screaming, you'd be in the kitchen, be like, what are you watching down there?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you were actually concerned about what we were taking in, because we had a whole episode. We talked about how were we watching this shit? We watched some scary shit. Did you have any thought about that or concern? No.
Well, no. If you kind of think about how the house was, the den, did you ever see me in the den? I had no function in the den. Hence, I never turned that television on my whole life. So if you guys were down there watching it, it would be absolutely unnatural for me to come down and sit down.
Well, no, but to even be concerned, like, what are you guys watching? We were watching scary stuff.
Yeah, I remember if I got a glimpse of something that was, I might have said, if you're watching this crap and anything skeevies you out and you have a lot of questions, come and tell me, because I can explain anything that's going on there.
Like Lori saying one day, what's a prostitute?
Yeah, it was a hooker.
What's a hooker?
What's
a hooker?
I wanted to, rather than monitor what you were watching, because I didn't know the shows.
Right.
That makes sense. Come to me with your questions.
I just open the portal. That's what all I was wanting to do was open the portal between you and me. So that therefore anything that was a problem or curious or weird or scary or gave you a bad idea, you were open to come to me. That to me was safer.
Okay, that I it's not that I disagree with that. Having an open line of communication, you can always talk to me. I agree with that. I will say that the being allowed to watch whatever and then react to it, I don't 100% agree with that, only because I have very distinct trauma from things I saw that I didn't know could possibly trauma me.
That's the Gen X thing. We watched all kinds of crazy shit.
It's the unique thing was that she opened the line of communication, but not unique is that everybody was watching HBO and nobody knew what we were watching. So that is
no, I don't think everybody was watching whatever they wanted. I don't think that's true. There were definitely other parents.
No, but we had cable, remember.
Not everyone had HBO. And that's the things I'm talking about. I'm watching The Color Purple because I'm home sick, in 7th grade. And, people are getting raped and murdered and beat.
Think about this. I never watched TV at all while you
See, that's the thing too. She didn't even know.
I didn't even know.
She wasn't in touch with what we were watching.
I was not in touch
it's
with
worse than she
anything.
would have known.
Because when I left that kitchen or that basement and I went up to the bedroom, Dad was always watching what he wanted to watch. I wasn't watching TV anywhere, ever.
It's no different than parents. It's no different than parents now, not even having a phone when their kids are on YouTube and you don't even know what. They're just
they're in another universe.
Yeah, whatever you're exposed to. If you have questions, just let me know. I have a note that Mom left in my room on an index card in high school.
What?
Talking about open lines of communication. She would just leave notes in our room sometimes. And now how she sends us articles all the time. She had come across an article. So she left an article and a note on a big index card in my room in high school. I believe I was a sophomore. There's not a date on this, but I kind of remember it. And I was just kind of having a down moment, week, whatever, for just because nothing exciting was happening. And I felt just kind of in a lull.
Yeah.
And so she left a note and said, Kim, Oak Knoll, our high school, sent this out for all parents to read. It's a great article and says something of what I've been saying to you. Although it speaks primarily of rejection and you have not been rejected from Oak Knoll or anywhere, it's worthwhile reading. The ups, downs, and boring middles of the teenage years are just preparation for the ups, downs, and mostly boring middles of the rest of life. I tried to find something good about every day, if only sometimes an appreciation for the fact that nothing is really wrong. Thank God. So that was really a typical kind of note I would get in my room from mom. Just, acknowledging, yep, you're feeling kind of down. That's because this is life.
That's because life is long and boring.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. Guess what? Adult will be the same. Guess what? Also, there's nothing wrong either. So remember that.
It was really important to remember.
It was a good perspective. Just a little reminder.
Yeah.
Like, hey, life isn't awful because there's actually nothing awful going on, even if there's nothing good going on.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so here's the thing. You grew up with a brother in a coal mining town. You were an athlete. You were a synchronized swimmer, which maybe not everyone knows. This is not a joke. You would swim dance.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that what that is?
Synchronized swim dancing.
Synchronized swim dancing is a water ballet, essentially.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
Well, what on earth
would make you do that?
It's an Olympic. Well, because it was available in our school. And Barbara, my friend Barbara, was very close to me, and she was the head of the group.
Oh my God! I didn't know that. She's the head of the synchronized swim team. But my point is this: you grew up athletic. You had a brother. You, in some place in your mind, imagined when you had kids, you assumed you'd have a boy, which was when you were like, "Oh, I'll probably have a boy." Did you assume A, that you would have all boys, or B, that we would be athletic? Because it turns out not that we're not athletic, but we didn't do the traditional team thing.
Yeah, I really didn't know or have a real preference, really. But I couldn't imagine life without sports.
Right.
That was very.
And then we gave it to you.
Funny.
That was shocking to me, and but I loved what you were doing because it was different than what I ever did. So that was unique. And so
Kim tried to really keep the basketball tradition alive when she went out for the high school basketball team and was like, I'm shocked that I didn't get it.
That didn't work out. I remember in middle school, I was meeting up with people on my bike somewhere. And one of the guy friends was like, oh, can you grab a football from your house to bring to meet us at the park or whatever? And I was like, what do you grab a football from my house? They're like, just grab one from your house. Like,
that's funny.
That's so funny for a boy. Assumes there's a football around the house.
There's a million footballs. Just grab one. I'm like, there's no footballs in my house.
Lori, did you ever feel pressure to do any kind of sport or think you were going to do a sport? I don't remember what you were involved in there.
Not at all.
Nothing ever?
I think softball was my last sport and I hated it.
That was like third grade for you.
Hated it.
I hated softball. And I
can't even tell you.
Mom made me do the municipal town.
And like, I can feel it. I can feel like driving up to Noacker.
Yes.
Right. And like
that long driveway.
And it had a good playground, I believe.
Yeah.
And like just that feeling of being isolated out in the field and just like kind of waiting for something to get to you, and then
terrified that something's
going to come to you. Like, I don't want
but bored waiting for it. And then like being up to bat, talk about pressure. Just every fucking person, every looking at you. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. No. And so I don't remember any sport after that, even though I loved gym class all the way through high school. And then I started dance, I think, in 5th grade.
Oh, right.
Dance Innovations.
I remember, but Mom said, why do I have to go to do softball? And I remember you said, you have to do something. And I was like, oh, I have to do something?
But you do have to do something.
I have a job. I go to school.
True. No,
I have a full-time job.
No, I agreed with that because Evie didn't want to do anything either. And it was like, you have to do something because you don't know what you'll enjoy if we don't make you try something.
Exposure. You have to expose to things just to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why you take gen ed classes in college.
And what's interesting is Evie is a natural athlete. She's very good. She's very strong. Like Gordy's always like, she's a perfect personality to be an athlete. Like when she gets like fired up, it's
She could
good.
channel
You
it.
need that to be a really good athlete. If
But
you
she
don't care,
doesn't.
she doesn't like the pressure. So even though she was really good at basketball, when she got the ball, if she shot and missed, even though she barely missed, and the sound that just naturally, that sound when you missed, it like traumatized her and she just couldn't do it anymore.
That's fair. I guess that.
And I was like, you don't have to do like, and she does sports, but and maybe she'll end up doing something a little more fun, a little more team sporty. I don't know, hopefully tennis or something like that. But yeah, I've been trying to say to my kids, just because they're the same thing, right? Sports, you're doing sports. Gordy said the same thing to his kids. And I'm like, there are other things. I didn't do sports.
Sing.
There's ways to get that team experience.
Choirs, you get the team thing, and it's like such high vibes.
But there's other things too. There's the chess club, the art club, the yearbook, student council, and like people who like grow up in this
people.
Right, because you can't force, you can't have a kindergarten being like, why don't you try student council?
Right.
Like, there's only like soccer.
Games and sports are just like since like Greco-Roman times. That's just what people do. I hated it. And to Evie's point, that feeling of letting down, I was not invested. I was not emotionally invested too much in the games, even though I played, basketball in junior high, like 7th and 8th grade, and I did softball too. But when our team lost, I remember feeling this is unbearable. Like this feeling of loss of like
horrible.
Oh, really? I never cared. I was like,
I wished I didn't care.
I was like, let's go to friendlies. I had not a competitive bone in my body.
I was not trying to improve my abilities. I just hated losing it and felt bad. And I was like, this is really awful. So that's why when people get their hearts broken over, being involved in sports, meaning as a spectator, like sports as a hobby, the crushing blow that is, I was like, I'd rather cry over a movie,
Yeah, I hated that.
We know you've heard Generation Artax, but are you subscribed? Hit the follow button wherever you listen to podcasts. That's one less thing to worry about and one more thing to look forward to. We'd love to keep this show going, and you can help. Please rate and review. Thanks.
La, 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 la.
Can we go back to the phone thing though? Because we're talking about things that parents will do or not do. We had a lot of freedoms. I say that we, as a combination of mom's own belief and philosophy and our earning our independence and freedom, we showed that we were able to do that.
Absolutely.
But still, we did sort of push the envelope and do some crazy shit, including the year we all got our own phone lines. Lori was very little. The joke was that she really didn't have anyone to call, but you can't give something to one kid, not the other. There's two things about this. One is, even if the kid doesn't have any one to call, you don't not give them the thing. You always were incredibly equitable. No one would I feel like you did everything to prevent any kind of jealousy there.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, no one I knew, or maybe I knew one other kid who had their own phone line, which was unheard of. So speak to that, of what made you do that. I'm sure people were like, what are you doing? Fighting over the phone is a rite of passage.
Yeah. Well, I heard a lot of nightmares, as everybody did at the time, had a lot of nightmares of people fighting, over the phone, you were just on, you talked to someone, it's my turn, all that kind of stuff. And it really wasn't my idea. I have to give credit.
Well, of course. To another Anne in your life. Everyone you've mentioned is named Anne.
To another Anne in my life. And she said, get them their own phone lines. Otherwise, it's the same fighting over and over. And I said, really? She said, Jeannie, this is a gift for you more than it's a gift for them.
I was going to say, it was made your life that easier. You didn't have to broker.
This is a gift for you. Trust me, just do it.
Yep.
And I believed her. And
she had 3 kids, 2 girls.
She had 3 kids. And to me, it was the best thing ever.
She was one of the cooler parents, by the way. Like
she was
that, and she was like, let's do what makes sense. And they always gave a little more
what
freedom.
makes sense.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure makes
and
sense.
it was the best thing ever. And of course, I knew Lori had nobody to go, but I knew she eventually would.
The sting of not getting that, like the sting of not getting the phone would have been.
Have gotten you phones and not her. Oh my God, no. It was too big, too important, to everything.
We know you've heard Generation Artax, but are you subscribed? Hit the follow button wherever you listen to podcasts. That's one less thing to worry about and one more thing to look forward to. We'd love to keep this show going, and you can help. Please rate and review. Thanks.
La 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 la.
No.
But
no.
that's one example of a million.
Yes.
Since we did already go through the whole phone thing earlier, but that's one of a million examples of how parents, I think they don't mean to at all, but they pit their kids against each other. Like, why can't you be more like this kid? Or why can't you, that was not a theme. We were never made to feel competitive with each other.
Yeah, no.
Never.
I think that's a big reason that we are the way we are now.
That's right.
There were dominant themes. There's always dominant themes of mothering in a person's head, depending on their life and what they
past.
saw that they loved or saw that they hated. And the most important thing to me was that you didn't hate one another.
Yes.
Some people don't care. Some people are just like, well, my kids hate each other. And I'm like, oh, you should foster that. Like,
no,
I hear it. I've heard it many times.
No.
Yeah.
They just throw their hands up.
That was key. And along with that, it was the same mentality. If you were upset with one another, you always knew when the things settled down in the house that I would be back in your room and sit on your bed. Right?
Yes, because you played mediator. You would let me explain their perspective, and then I'll go and explain the other perspective.
Everybody understand where the other one's coming from. So if you have understanding, then it'll be okay.
You were the family sin eater. You were like, just give me all the bad stuff and I'll eat it. That was her mythic role. I mean, I remember.
Well, she specifically said, if you're so angry at one of your sisters and you have some horrible things to say them to me instead.
Yes,
exactly.
That was a very clear message. Say that to Lori, you'll hurt her feelings. You tell me. You tell me. I was like, because I'm so mad. Because you still get mad.
Terri, the one that stands out with me is you, Terri, because you were crying and crying, and I said, "What's wrong?" And you were just sobbing. You couldn't even tell me what was wrong. And I said, "Cool, you can tell me. You can tell me." And you said, "I hate Kim."
She is the worst.
I am the worst. Mom's like, join the club. Everyone hates her.
I gave you a big hug and you were sobbing on my shoulder. And I said, "It's okay. You don't hate Kim." And you, but I do.
No, I definitely do. We all hate Kim. It's fine.
This is the family burden.
You don't tell me what just happened, and then you went through the story of what happened.
Wait, we don't know the story of why Terri hated Kim.
But I don't either. It doesn't matter because
I don't think it was just one time.
I know. I don't think it was one time.
But that one time I do.
But how old was I? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I know. What are we talking about? She was like, you were 22.
No, I was 18.
I were afraid to say it.
How old are we talking about?
7? Was I 7? 5?
Maybe 7, 8. No, something like that.
Wow.
And I said, no. You don't. This is
I think I was afraid of how much I hated her. I was like, what do I do with this hate?
You were afraid to hate her because that would be wrong.
Well, what would you witness? What would you witness Kim do that would piss off Terri? Ever?
Terri might
Someone
have been
has to have an
jealous
example.
of something. Oh, Terri might. I have no clue. She might have been jealous of something that Kim did.
I wish I had a story. I don't.
I didn't actually do anything, so that's why there's no story.
That's why there's no. That's why there's no story. It was in Terri's head that she was upset about something.
Just in my head.
Well, I mean, because it wouldn't be the weirdest thing if Terri had a story about when I was a bitch because I was being a bitch, even at that age, even though we wouldn't use the word. Like,
yes, but she probably couldn't even articulate. But if I got attention from someone, or she was jealous,
maybe you
of
got
attention
something
I got
I
for
wanted.
something. Or...
Who knows?
But can you imagine?
She was terrified of thinking badly,
of feeling it. Yeah.
Terrified of feeling it, so she couldn't say it. So
yeah, that permission That permission
to be angry was key, because
I
wasn't trying
to have anger.
It wasn't
It's
that I was
okay
like,
to
I
have
seriously
anger.
hate her so much. It was more like, oh my God, I hate her. What does that mean? It
Yeah,
was like
what
a
does that
fear of
mean? Am I a
having the
bad
emotion.
person, right?
Am I a bad
So
person,
the
basically.
whole evening was, it's okay to feel.
Right.
But don't say, but that's what I remember saying, don't tell her.
Don't tell her you hate her.
Don't tell her you hate her. She has no idea why you would say that. I said, you tell me you hate her.
Right.
And then we'll deal with it.
A lot of people do this in families, of course, we know it. And that's why I'm grateful that didn't happen. Can you imagine? Okay, so I'm the oldest. I'm obviously, little sister's going to compare something just to be like, well, what is she doing? Can you imagine if mom was like, Kim, why can't you be more like Terri? Like, she's doing that. Why can't you do that? Like, can you imagine how damaging if you grew up
and then you're feeling that you hate me and you can't say it, and maybe you do say it to me, and then it starts the damage.
Right. So we were sort of set up for antiseptic conditions for the friendship and the relationship.
Understanding, for
understanding,
emotional growth.
Emotional growth.
My whole shtick was emotional growth.
Right.
If you could understand one another, then you could understand the kid in school who dressed like you and you were mad at them. And I said that was the biggest compliment ever.
That's where the empathy comes from, because I would be mad at this person. I remember you saying like, or scared of this person, or they're going to be mean to me. And you would say, now imagine what that kid thinks. He's just going about his day. Like, it allowed me, if we could allow ourselves to see from someone else's perspective, it would do a lot of good in the world. It's one of the hardest things, because we're like, me, I have the hardest.
Goal. That was it. I had one goal.
Empathy.
Was it.
Empathy for you.
Understand.
That was your goal.
Everybody. Understand dad. Understand me. Understand one another. Understand your friends. Get on the other side and see from all angles. That was so much more important to me than what you were watching on the TV.
Right.
Figured, well, we could deal with that later. This was key.
We were saying Kim has her own philosophy. She was talking about like the most important thing was self-esteem. So for her, it was like, make sure those kids feel. Well, so everyone has a thing, right? We're going to close with a question. Before I get to the closing question, every parent has a fear of letting a kid go do something. Some parents are crazy helicopter parents that won't let them kids do anything. You obviously weren't like that. What is one of the, maybe something that you're like, oh, I was worried about you doing this? And it could be any one of us. Like for me, I remember the first time I went to the mall with my friend and no adult, I was 13. And I remember saying to Amy, my friend Amy, going, are we allowed to, is it legal? Can we walk around the mall by ourselves? Like, this is, someone's going to for sure throw us in a van. Like, I was afraid of that stuff.
I mean,
was there something that you were afraid of with one or any of us as a parent to go like, I know this is irrational, but I'm really worried about this thing?
Well, it might not have been irrational.
No, it might have been irrational.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing was to see Lori go off to real world. That was big for me.
It scared you? She was 21.
Yeah.
I don't care. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Really?
Yeah.
So wait, we're talking about Lori as an adult? I was kind of thinking like kid. Was there kid stuff that you were afraid of?
Like the first time I went to the mall.
Like when I went to go on a date with this kid who we called Dougie here, and you dropped me off at his house out in the woods somewhere, and you didn't know the family. You weren't at all worried? I wasn't worried, but there wasn't that kind of concern.
Why would she drop you off if she was worried?
No,
I'm saying, were you like, I hate doing this?
No,
like, I don't know how you're feeling.
The places where I was dropping you off were known, if not by me, by somebody I knew.
No, not this case. This was a spelling bee kid.
Okay, well, but I don't remember it, so therefore I wasn't.
Well, also it was the same with me. I met a kid at camp, and he lived in Connecticut, and he asked me to his prom, and mom drove me up and dropped me off at his house. She didn't know anybody there.
It's so wild.
He was a really nice guy.
Sleep over, Lori?
Of course I did. I was up in Connecticut. It was prom. And I remember at one point, it was very wooded. We went to the prom for a little while. I didn't know anybody, obviously. At one point, 4 of us drove, and it didn't feel scary, even though it probably should have. Because they drove into the woods. They parked on the side of the road, and no houses in sight. And they like hot boxed the shit out of the car with this big like blunt and got like high as shit. And I probably got high just from
for sure you
in
did.
The car.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't remember it. And I was not smoking. I didn't have friends who smoked pot yet. Yeah, not yet. And so I was just like, ooh, I'm not totally comfortable in the situation, but it didn't feel scary, even though it should have, because then they drove. But like, mom didn't know any of those people. I don't know.
No, it's true. You know, everything feels scary now, but it didn't then. I don't know how to translate that.
Yeah, she should have been scared when I, went to the Bahamas and just was off.
I knew about that. I knew you told me about that after.
I did?
See, yes, I knew that whole story when I heard it.
And you're like, you should not go on vacation with that family anymore.
You were with the other parents, so you know.
Yeah, you kind of have to like delegate worry to the parents on site, even if bad things happen. They could happen anywhere. But you were particularly like kind of okay about it. You weren't like,
well, I wasn't worried. It wasn't like today. It was different. You weren't worried about everything. Like now, everybody's worried about everything, but nobody was worried about it. You know, maybe
nobody was worried about anything. Exactly. That's
Generation X.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
that's it.
No, I wasn't worried. And the only reason I was worried about Lori even as an adult, because it was just such a total immersive experience, and for so long.
She's like, she's going to be on TV, and I've never even seen TV. What is that?
She's like, this is a big step.
Hold on, I'm not familiar. I need to go back and watch some TV.
Also, I don't know where she's been most of her childhood, but now I'm going to watch a full documentary of her, and I'm more worried about that.
Yeah, right.
Seeing every part of it.
It's like, in a lot of ways, the safest situation.
Exactly.
I have literally a camera crew following me
through
the streets of New York.
But we didn't know what happened. It was scary. You did have a kind
scary.
of instant
and
weird
then
feeling.
When you went to the other thing, where you didn't know where you were going.
Battle of the Sexes.
It was not scary.
But it's
I think it's scary. I want to go do that.
Producers videoing her every second of the day.
Of course.
It just depends on what we're talking about. If the scary part is what would happen from being on TV, or nobody was scared of the internet yet, as they should have been. So nobody was afraid of that part of it.
Because it wasn't a generation where we were all scared of everything as mothers, I wanted you to have all the experiences that were, I thought, within reason. Now, they weren't within reason if you look back at it. But at the time, it passed my reason, and I wasn't oblivious.
To me, I remember you being afraid of, you did not like me going into the city when I was a teenager.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, not of course, because all my friends were. And I was the only one for a bit who couldn't, but I was okay with it because I felt I had.
You're like, it's scary.
It wasn't. But they would drive to Hoboken and take the path in, or they would, they took the train from Summit, right, and then they would walk around. And
she put me and Beth in 8th grade on the path from Hoboken. It was daytime, but still, with tickets to go see Tommy's The Who on Broadway.
Wow.
We were like 8th graders. Like, we just figured it out. We went to the show and then got a pretzel and got back on the train.
Are you serious? You were 14?
That can't be right. Because I feel like I wasn't allowed to go older than that to go in.
It was during the day.
I remember being like, Lori's on a train to New York. Like, you were sort of out there doing whatever the fuck.
I mean, I was eventually allowed. I'm sure that stopped around like 16 or 17.
Kim and I were the same. Kim was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade going, should I be at the Livingston Mall alone?
Yes, but see, I knew Terri was afraid. I knew Terri was
you were afraid. That's what she was afraid for you, because you were probably a nervous wreck. You're like a walking target for people.
Right. Well, as far as the activities goes too, like things that you always wanted to have us experience it, even when we didn't really want to do it. And the best example, well, one is tennis. The other big example is skiing. I had not a fucking bone in my body who wanted to go skiing. And I was like, do we have to go? I remember going to Killington, kicking and screaming. We pulled up, we see this mountain with people pouring down it like ants. And I was like, no fucking way. We're not doing this. And like, you were like, no, and you're also going to split up and go on your own. I was like, I thought it was a hell on earth.
Lori had a fever about 104 laying in the back of the van.
She sent Lori off to ski.
Yeah. And
I remember that.
Oh God, yeah.
And you sent her to ski?
Yeah.
You put her in ski school with 104-degree fever?
Janet.
That's more of a bad choice, I think. You're in the medical field. Like, why would someone with 104 fever be thrown
you're fine? But that's Gen X shit. That's
on the side of a mountain. Also, I was the only person who was not introduced to tennis. And then I remember you all playing tennis and I was the ball girl. And when later grow up, everyone in my life has had tennis lessons, and now they all kick my ass.
We were all burned out.
I
know. I went to tennis camp even.
I know.
I had real potential.
I had real potential. Yeah? But my point being, the skiing, I remember saying, why? I don't want to do this. And you said, you have to learn to ski so that you can go when all the kids go. It wasn't
you have a choice.
So you have a choice. You weren't like, I want you to be a great skier. You were like, if you don't do it, you don't have that option. You'll be left out of things. And I was like, okay. So I said, I was trained in the suburban trifecta. We all were: tennis, swimming, and skiing, because those are the things that people like upper middle class.
Swimming's different. That's survival.
I know, but I hated all of them, and you have to be able to do all those things.
I mean, swim.
Yeah, I just wanted you to have all the options, so you could have the fun or not.
Yeah,
you could make choices. That's what I wanted. I wanted you to be,
So in closing, look, everyone ends up with the family they end up with. You have kids, you raise them. They are their own people. They are their own personality, but there is invariably some fingerprint and mark. And so if you see, you're looking at the three of us, what would you say are some of the, like the quality or the thing that you see in us that is like, oh, not that it came from you, but like somebody's like, I see myself in your ability to do this, that, the other. Like, where do you see yourself in us?
I see myself in what my goal was. I see you all being able to deal with the outside world because you can understand them.
Right.
And my migraines.
What? Oh,
and my migraines.
Yeah. There isn't any of you who can't imagine what the other person is feeling. And so that, to me, that allowed you to be your own person as much as you could be. And when stress came, you had something to deal with, a tool of some kind to deal with it. And that's what I wanted. I wanted you three to love one another and be close, be different as you wanted to be, but to be close regardless. And
that worked out.
My dreams were answered.
Yes.
Did you want us to have a podcast?
Want to start a podcast? The funny thing is when we said, Laura's like, Mom, aren't you glad that like we didn't end up like drug addicts? Like, aren't you so thankful? And you were like, don't you think I had something to do with it?
Yeah, right.
Not that we can prevent, let's just say, disclaimer, we're not saying we can prevent addictions and all kinds of things. But
of course not.
when we said, hey, you had it easy, of course, the children bear the mark of the parenting and all those choices, which are the best choices we make at the time. It's fun to poke fun at the Gen X thing.
Exactly.
But I will say, you did do that. You did good, because one of the compliments we hear from people, even just about this podcast, is I love it and I also hate you because I wish I had that with my sisters or my brothers or my family. And a lot of families just don't. And so
they don't.
Listen.
And it was deliberately nurtured.
And we have our own flaws. I fucked things up. I repaired that. We all fall in and out of things, and we all get in fights. Like, in case anyone wonders, we also have disagreements. It's not the 1 hour slice you hear, but these two women, I would do anything for. And they are the people who will be with me forever and ever. And that is a gift. That is a gift.
And that's what I used to say to you. When all your friends are gone and the world is gone, you will have one another.
And I said, but I hate her.
Yeah, but I hate her. But I hate her so much. People will disappoint you. All your friends will disappoint you. And I remember being like, oh.
It was like all your friends. With me, it was all your friends are going to grow up and be with men and leave you. And they will not be hang out with you anymore because they'll be with men. And I said, oh, I'll be left alone because I was fucking gay as fuck, but no one knew.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for that.
And you remember me saying, I don't want you to be like my mother and her sisters.
Right.
Well, because our grandma,
we did talk about that once. Yeah,
they fought terribly, and we do not have that. But
I didn't want that for you, and I had such a wonderful relationship with my brother. I certainly didn't want anything less for you.
Well, Mom,
so that's
very special. First Mother's Day of our first Mother's Day
podcast
season, and thank you for coming on. We love you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And to all a good night.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
This episode of Generation Artax was produced by us, edited by us, and hosted by us. Our theme music is by Danielle Musto. Art and design by Ryan Andrews of ryanmade.com. Please follow, rate, and review to help save more Gen Xers from the swamps of sadness. Follow us on Instagram at Generation Artax, that's ARTAX, and visit us at generationartax.com.